so much. I love you so much. I love you so much. I love you so much.
Hello, all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality and the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life, well, that's another, which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week to help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host, Brandon Beecham. I'm the reflection and extension of you who will be here each Wednesday interviewing a different consciousness changemaker. And on the other 4 weekdays, leading the way to ensure that your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, before we jump into today's episode, I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a few sponsors that not only help to make it possible to produce this show 5 days a week, but that I'm also genuinely passionate about promoting, especially since they're helping to fund all the cool projects we have in the works, such as the Positive Head app, the docuseries that I'm intending to begin shooting within the next year, and whatever else we dream up over here at Positive Headquarters to help spread consciousness across the planet. Now, if you're short on time or just super excited for today's topic and want to dive right in and skip these ads, feel free to fast forward about
4 minutes
to get right into today's show. That being said, I strongly encourage you to listen because the reason I'm passionate about my sponsors is because they've made a huge impact in my own life, which is why I've aligned with these organizations. And I firmly believe they can do the same for you too. The first longtime stellar supporter of the show that I want to mention is Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online with over 8,000 video titles. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. The second sponsor I'm extremely passionate about promoting is Purium. It's no mystery that bringing your mind, body, and spirit into balance is necessary if a person truly intends to manifest the greatest and greatest version of themselves. And as of recording this, it's been about 4 months since I started taking the Purium Core 4 superfood products every day. And I can honestly and sincerely say my mind, body, and spirit have never felt more in alignment. If you've been looking for a way to easily get superfoods into your system every day with a simple plan that can help you reestablish a healthier foundation and relationship with food, I cannot recommend for you to start with the Purium 40-Day Ultimate Nutrition Plan, which includes a 10-day metabolic reset and cleanse enough. I spent personally months researching Purium before I jumped in, and now myself and over 150 other positive heads have started with the 40-Day Ultimate Nutrition Plan, and many of us have continued taking the Core 4 products on an ongoing basis daily ever since. I personally intend to take them for the rest of my life because they played a huge role transforming my vibrational state. If you decide to do it, it'll cost you just over $7 a day for the first 40 days and only about $5 a day after. But if you do it the way that I recommend you to do it, the smartest and most beneficial way, it won't cost you anything. I recommend you to just look at where you can reallocate money you are already spending on food each day. Essentially, you're just going to swap out the unhealthiest stuff you're in the habit of purchasing in exchange for Purium superfoods. And this way, it costs you nothing to participate in the transformation and cleanse. And it creates exponential benefit because now you've replaced something that lowers your vibration with something that is going to make you feel super high in the healthiest kind of way. Just take a few minutes, see where you can cut out $5 to $7 a day and commit to doing it. It's that simple. Also, for support, we'll be doing a big group transformation with other positive heads and soul family once each month for support. So I recommend, going right now, ordering your 40-day Ultimate Nutrition Plan bundle so that you have it when the next group transformation starts. Procrastination is not your friend. Order it now. You can thank me later, because I can assure you, you will not be sorry you've decided to send a message to the universe that you're ready to step up your vibrational game and reclaim your health sovereignty. Just head over to ishoppurium.com. That's spelled ISHOPPURIUM.com. Be sure to use the code POSITIVEHEAD, all one word, for either $50 off or a 25% discount, whichever is greater. And also, if you want to learn more details about the Purium products, why I'm so passionate about promoting them beforehand, you can go check out several videos I shot discussing these things in greater detail. You can also hear my interview with the very inspiring founder, David Sandoval. Much, much more over at positivehead.com/transformation. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. So happy to be with you all, as always, and always. It's a pleasure and an honor. And today we are going to go a little bit deeper on the conversation that was discussed on episode 798. Or maybe it wasn't a conversation since I was talking to myself, but, well, I guess it's still a conversation if it's one way. No, it's sort of two-way because you're listening. Oh, man. Okay, that's a rabbit hole. Who knows? I'm going to talk. Hopefully someone's going to listen. And it was prompted by a email I received by Melody, a listener who had some comments on it and sort of wanted to hear my thoughts. And so we're going to dive a little bit deeper down the rabbit hole of creating basically the title of that episode was Ignoring Our Personal Preferences to Allow for Life's Greater Plan. And it was inspired by my recent listening of the book, The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer. So, it's this sort of idea of going with the flow, allowing things to unfold versus, intentional co-creation of what happens. So I think it's a wonderful thing to sort of get into the nitty gritty, the fine details of how we do this, how we navigate this, this going with the flow versus taking action. And I'm going to share a clip. I'm going to, of course, talk a lot about it, and then also share a clip from Abraham, Esther Hicks, who is discussing that as well. And hopefully we'll address Melody's question in a way that is helpful, and also will provide further clarification to all of you lovely listeners in regards to this topic, including myself. So before we do that, I would like to take a moment to read a review on iTunes. Actually, I'm going to read a couple because this one, I like to leave them on a good note. And we're coming up on, we're getting close to 1,000 reviews on iTunes, and 12 of them are 1 star. And I have hit a 1-star review. I think I mentioned it the other day. And this person, Dom1280, said, "Way too many quality shows to waste time trying this." And Dom1280 said, "Every episode, the first 7 minutes are commercials. The next 5 are reviews about how great his podcast is and how great he is. When you get to the actual content, it's a few minutes of basic psychology or cliche new age stuff that gives the field a bad name." Well, Dom, I would say this. You have created your reality. You have manifested a not so good review on iTunes and it being readed. So congratulations on that. The content is working because you manifested me not reading a review about how great I am, but rather how bad the show is. It's I appreciate the honest feedback. Commercials at the front. Well, there are sponsors of the show, as with all media out there that I know of, is sponsored or it's paid to get access in some way, shape, or form. And I really do my best to make it as painless as possible. So I tell you exactly how far to skip, to jump over. And it's certainly not 7 minutes, although he must be talking, or she, whoever wrote this, must be talking about the intro piece as well, because the sponsors are around 3 to 4 minutes, I believe, of me talking. So, and it's things that I absolutely love and truly, truly believe in. And so anyone who sort of gets involved with those sponsors, I feel really, really good about. So thanks for the honest feedback, Dom. And I'm sure you will find something that is more in alignment with where you're at in your own journey. But I don't know how. I don't know if it's basic. The stuff we're talking about, it gets pretty detailed. And like today's episode, this is like a very fine. It's such a great topic to kind of explore the finer details of going with the flow versus taking action, and it's very nuanced and something that I don't view it as basic at all. But once again, can't please everyone. Wishing you all the best, my friend, whoever you are out there. Love you anyway. And I'm going to read another review because I like to leave it on a good note. This came from Bree G 2007. Wonderful dose of daily positivity. I absolutely love this podcast. I love the variety and different points of view from the various hosts and guest interviews. This podcast is such a breath of fresh air from my daily life. I look forward to listening to it every morning. Thank you, Brandon and staff, for this wonderful labor of love you provide to us every day. I really appreciate it. And a little heart. Thank you, Bree G, for taking the time to complete the circle of love I'm putting out into the world. It means the world to me. And so if you haven't taken the time to review on iTunes, it does help us to reach new people. Also, love to see you guys in the Positive Heads Facebook group as well, where you can ask questions, connect with other listeners. And before I dive into reading one of those, or write questions into me via email as well, Brandon@positivehead.com, which is how Melody reached me. I love getting questions from you guys. And before I read this one from Melody, I wanted to throw out this weekend, October 26th, there will be an Abundance Neverland Halloween event going on. If you're in the Los Angeles area, you can look it up on Facebook. There's discount code Positive Head, all one word. I'll be there. It's Christopher David Jackson's events that he puts on. Visionary art, amazing costumes, like just beautiful. It's kind of like Burning Man in a box, sort of. And love to see you guys there if you're, in the SoCal neck of the woods. And actually, a funny little synchronicity I was going to throw out, telling you guys to come out to that event this weekend. And this clip that I shared, or I'm about to share from Abraham, at the very end of it, there's like a great synchronicity where the person talks about abundance and dancing and abundance, and like, whoa, did I just hear that? So pretty cool. Another synchronicity, a kind of a perfect for Halloween week, by the way. Spooky. I'm going to give you guys a spooky story teaser because I had the pleasure of doing a powwow this weekend, kind of a show swap with Shaman Durek, who runs the Ancient Wisdom Today podcast. And we recorded, him on my show and me on his show. And there was some spookiness that was discussed. And then there was some crazy synchronicity that unfolded, really crazy synchronicity that unfolded right after I recorded with him. And it just kind of like went on. There's multiple layered synchronicity. And I'm not going to tell you it all right now because I'd rather you hear the episode. I release it with him this coming Wednesday. So you'll hear him, when you hear him talk about Lavana, in that interview, on, I guess the next daily, I'll share with you how it like spookily like continued to unfold. Perfect for Halloween week or right before Halloween. So yeah, there's been some real interesting synchronicities popping up lately. So definitely stay tuned. That interview, that powwow, by the way, Shaman Durek is amazing. Like, I so enjoyed connecting with him, and just such a good one. So something to look forward to here in the next couple days. But with all that being said, let's jump into this question that came in from Melody Samples. She wrote in, "Dear Brandon, listen to your episode from yesterday on a subject I've been circling for a while." And that's referencing episode 798, by the way. My sister is a sailor, and there's a saying she enjoys mulling over that goes, "Only dead fish go with the flow." As I delve deeper into my spiritual being, I've enjoyed this little argument within myself between wanting to go with the flow of what the universe is providing me and not wanting to be a dead fish. Your subject matter, as usual, is in sync with my processes. Listening to you today made me inspired to find a distinction for myself, which I feel compelled to subject you to. If I believe myself to be an actor as a young kid, and this belief propels me out of a small town, USA poverty, into university, and fast forward 15 years to making it finally to LA, only to discover within myself that I am not actually an actor, but the universe provides me with an opportunity to assist on a set. I could have said, no, I'm an actor. I'm not an assistant. But accepting the opportunity one is provided with and running with the flow, having inspiration, having work ethic, a desire to go where the water is taking me into that deep blue ocean is very different than me laying back and saying, okay, I'm going to coast and do little effort since I'm just going with the flow. Only dead fish go with the flow because alive fish still navigate the flow. Allowing the flow to propel you forward and to bring you to a new era of inspiration is participating in the yes and positive attitude of inspiration, creativity, which is the divine breath inside of us. It is my collaboration with the universe to use my vessel as a humble ego driving a ship / fish with the physical intelligence that I have. I apologize for the first / third person switching. That's confusing. But what I mean is that I believe that we have to match our energy to the flow or we won't actually go anywhere. I think the reason why Michael Singer, got so far was not necessarily that he let things float to him, but he engaged with the flow with intention, trust, and energy, and accepted and ran with the flow. Thank you for your voice, for keeping me on track, for reminding me, as always, that we are never alone. Thoughts? With love, Melody. Thank you for writing in, Melody. This is a great subject because, I'm really grateful that you wrote in, because even after recording this one, I was like, I'd like to clarify even more than I did, kind of the contrast between these two things. So you have given me the opportunity to do this. And I agree with you, really. It's like, if you listen to the book, Michael Singer probably, at least the way he portrays it, has a lot less rockets of desire than the average person does. We're all slightly different, right? In our just personality and makeup. The way he presented his story is, I just wanted to meditate in the woods, and not a lot of desire for material things, money, relationships. So, I'm sure there was rockets of desire there. There has to be, as a human, I feel. But his were probably a lot less than, say, mine, or maybe even the average person is, right? So it's absolutely finding this fine balance, this nuanced space of, having seen things that bubble up. And in his case, he talked about, because he had this core desire to just meditate in the woods, everything that came up that would pull him away from that, he had a preference to resist it, right? Like, no, I just want to, meditate in the woods. So if that truly was his core rocket of desire, then almost everything that was coming into his field, floating into his world, and people trying to prompt him to get involved in certain projects, would be, there'd be resistance that arrives in his head if that was indeed his primary desire. But of course, he also had gone down this path of not, the whole reason for his meditations was to quiet that voice in his head that's constantly shouting, what it wants and doesn't want. And, so here is what he came to was this conundrum of not wanting to just listen and be run by the tiny giant, the thoughts in his head playing incessantly, and, wanting to just be in the woods. So he ultimately opted for, okay, I'm going to trust what's coming to me. If it seems like it's coming to me in a way that has that sort of magical spark of, this is what, the universe, life wants to, the direction it wants to take me, I'm not going to listen to that voice in my head resisting it, and I'm going to start flowing with it. So that's kind of where he landed in his whole journey. And with the way I look at this as someone who has a lot of rockets of desires, I think it's really, really important to get into alignment with, I don't know if I agree with the whole idea of only dead fish go with the flow, although I do believe there's a flow, as you also indicated in this letter, in this email that, the fish actually work with the flow. And that's exactly what Michael Singer ended up doing. He would say, okay, I'm not going to listen to the voice in my head that's saying a no. I'm actually going to, this whole idea of saying yes when things are flowing to me. He kind of went with that whole approach, and trusting that it would take him somewhere that he was meant to be, and that he would actually find pleasure and enjoyment from, which ultimately was the case in most of the things he initially wanted to resist. So he started saying yes, and he started then working with the flow, right? So if it came off that way, it certainly wasn't intended that, hey, you just flow and you sit back and you do nothing, but rather there's no forced action. There's no I've got to make something happen or not happen. It's just always allowing what wants to. It's like subtle energy in general. As you sort of learn to listen to your intuition, as an example, it's a subtle energy. As you tune into it, you can kind of feel, and it gets louder as you pay attention, but it's really this soft, subtle thing at first. And it's the same thing if you're listening to the energy of it's a soft, subtle thing of, oh no, this is the direction that, things are sort of trying to take you. And then you follow that, and you follow that and you wait until you're inspired. And I got to imagine after he decided, okay, I'm going to go with this, one of the things was someone wanted him to build them a house. He didn't want to become a builder. But once he decided to do that, he did enjoy the actual act of building. And then he felt inspired, and he continued. And so he's waited until there's inspired action. So a lot of times I think we get this idea that we're going to go down a certain path, and then we get a blast of inspiration, and then we try and force it, and we try and move too soon. And I think the whole point is there is a steady, natural flow in which things are meant to unfold. You didn't meet if you get married, you didn't meet your wife and get married, and propose on the first night. There's a natural flow for things to unfold. And a lot of times we get excited, those of us who have desires and a blast of inspiration, and then we try and take a lot of action really quickly. And that's what the clip I'm about to share in a minute called "When Do You Need to Take Action" talks about. It's like let it percolate, let it come up. Never was the idea of what I was trying to suggest, just to flow and do nothing, but just let it all be done for you. It's follow what's bubbling up. If it feels like has that subtle energy of, this is the way the universe wants me to go. Maybe the little voice in my head is resisting. If it's resisting for some reason that doesn't feel like a really good reason, then maybe it is a good time to quiet that voice and sort of follow, turn over that rock, follow that path, see where it leads. And here's the thing: if something is meant, if that's the path for you, there's going to be new, with each step, there's going to be a new thing that's unlocked, It's going to continue to show you, oh, this is a path for you. Keep going down it. If not, you hit doors and walls and bumps, and you feel aggravated and all those things, then it's learning to read the subtle energy of when something is for you and when something is not. And when you can approach it with absolute detachment, you can have a desire but not need it to show up in any certain way. It is everything. It has made my life so much smoother when I know how worthy I am of all the best that life has to offer. And whenever there's something that's intriguing to me, maybe a potential, romantic interest or something like that, it's like, oh, that's a great example. Oh, this person's really intriguing to me. Oh, no, that door is not one that really is opening for X, Y, Z. Cool. This or something better. That's not ideal for me. Instead of, and same with a job or a project or anything. You may be intrigued by it. Then you go down that path even a little bit, and it's not flowing. It's not opening up in any way. Oh, cool. It's this or something better. This isn't the best use of my energy. This isn't the best place for me to. A lot of times I believe you're being protected from things, getting involved in things that aren't your highest timeline, if you will, your best, your greatest and greatest version of yourself. I think there's a lot of different crossroads that come up for us, and then sometimes you're just straight up being protected, and so that you don't pursue that, there's things that are not going as smoothly as possible, and trying to force our way through any of that is absolute folly. And this is someone who's done a lot of that in the past. Now it just doesn't even make any sense to me whatsoever. I don't really need anything or any one project, event happening to unfold. I'm just completely happy going along with the flow and then doing my part to sort of curiously explore without being attached to, I maybe only get to step 1 or 2 or 3, and then it just like all doors close. Oh, okay, cool. Not, I've gotten what I need from that particular, maybe it was just a message that you needed to get from exploring a particular project or interacting with a person. And once you get that, once anything has given you what you're supposed to get from it, a natural sort of separation from it occurs. And a lot of times we get, especially with like relationship and things like that, we get really attached, and we want to continue to try and engage after the natural flow, the separation is showing that it wants to happen so that you can be open for other new growth opportunities. But we get these, attachments and everything to people and to ideas. And then we try and force them beyond their expiration date. And then we end up with a lot of like sour milk. So, with that being said, I hope that helps Melody clarify where my thoughts are on this whole thing, the dance of co-creation between flowing and taking action. And Abraham here does a really good job of explaining, as always, when do you need to take action is the name of it. And I found it on the Abraham Daily YouTube page. Let's take a listen.
I love you so much, that. And I appreciate the fact that I can have those direct discussions with you, because I know I don't need Esther.
Next. It's true of all of you. It's true of all of you.
Yeah. But I find it helpful to clarify some things. And I'm a deliberate creator. I just love to create.
You were born to be a deliberate creator, and nothing else will do. Nothing else will do.
And the more I study everything that you say, and that I'm, the more I'm being aligned with who I really am, I can really be a better creator. And lately I've created a big project with many co-creators.
Let's not call it a better creator. Let's call it a more consistent creator.
Yeah.
A
more emotional creator.
More aware, more expectant.
Yeah.
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 All of you create your own reality, but doing it on purpose is so much more fun.
Indeed. Yeah. So I was, I received all the thoughts, and I decided to create a project. And every morning I would be inspired by names or people I wanted to work with. So I knew I felt them, And one day I decided to do a meeting with all those people, and they all came, and we all agreed on working on that project. So it became like a nice project with different agreements and different responsibilities for everyone. And a few months later...
Well, that's a humdinger of a meeting right there. Because what that's doing, that's sort of putting law of attraction on fast forward and hyperspeed.
Really?
In other words, well, we're just asking... Of course you want to start out with agreements, and we're not suggesting that there's anything that you need to do differently. We just want to stick this into this conversation.
Okay.
So the idea comes about the project, and you could feel the power of it and the absence of resistance. Then, if you're a normal person, as you try to jump into it too fast, then you feel resistance. And so then you back away from it and then the idea comes again. If you jump in it too fast, then it doesn't feel so good and you back away from it. If the idea comes again, in other words, so let's say the idea came and the inspiration to make the phone calls and to gather up the people and to have the conversation. We just want to encourage you to allow any project to unfold in the same way that the initial ideas about it did. Because there's a tendency to jump into the action part of it before the energy has really done the work that the energy can do, and then it's a bumpier ride than it needs to be. If you just decide, I'm not going to do anything that isn't inspired, and I'm going to do everything that is inspired, and I'm going to let the action kind of take care of itself. I'm not going to do the action in order to make things happen, unless the action is so compelling that I just can't stop myself from doing it. Yeah.
Maybe I need help on that, because when it implies a lot of activities.
So how's it going? If it's going
well,
really...
it was going well. I mean, the project was perfect.
Well, then it all is perfect.
Okay. Yeah. And so some of the co-creators wanted to disengage themselves. So at first, I met a few ones and I said, okay, let's find a win-win situation, because the project will be, there's...
So are you saying to us that the project continued to evolve?
Yeah.
And that your original thoughts about it wouldn't hold it all the way? That you had to allow new inspiration to continue to come?
That's correct. And people to move. Yeah. So I was okay with that. And then I got a little bit scared because there's a budget and there's money involved. And then I
But this is what we're talking about.
I know.
It's all right.
Yeah.
But here's the statement that we'd like to make for you to all hear. It feels like the whole point of the deliberate creation and the whole point of the project is to be able to jump into action as quickly as possible. And what we're wanting you to do is cool your jets just a little bit. And instead of being so eager to jump into action, enjoy the unfolding and the inspired action. And we know it's a fine line between jumping into action to make something happen and then being inspired to the action because the energy has already made it happen. In other words, it's about, here it is. It's about how ripe is it before I pluck it? So when the idea came, it was ripe. But now what? Now what? Now what? Now what? You know that feeling of inspiration. Do you know that feeling? You know that feeling of an idea hatching and it being so big that it really feels exciting to you when it first comes. And then if you're normal, once that happens, once you hatch that, once you receive that, then your mind, human mind, we love you so much, you want to jump ahead and figure out how, where, when, who. Instead of just let the idea be and let the how and the where and the when and the who and let it be inspired too. As soon as the idea comes, you want to jump right into implementation mode through the action part of it. So call everybody, have a meeting, set the rules, where if you could just hold off just a little while until each idea that comes feels as good as the original idea, then that's how the thoughts turn to things. So what we're talking about is, as humans, you want to set a goal and you want to jump into action usually too soon. As non-physical, you want to have a desire or set a goal. Those words are fine. Set a goal and then let the cooperative universe reveal itself to you. So, am I the finder of the cooperative components or am I the allower of the cooperative components? Am I out there digging for the diamond in the bushes or am I just taking a walk and the diamond in the bushes is showing itself to me? Am I making things happen or am I letting things happen? Am I allowing this project to unfold? What usually happens, we can just give you a few words that help you know the difference between what you're doing. If you're trying to prove worthiness through your behavior, or if you're accepting your worthiness and you're just letting your worthiness wash all over you in a variety of ways. If you're in a shortage consciousness, which means got to make this happen fast because I'm in need, or I'm in an abundance consciousness, which means it will unfold as whatever I need will come. You can sort of feel the difference, can't you?
Yeah, I feel grateful and I appreciate that project because it's bringing me to that feeling like someone just left and I didn't want to resist, like I couldn't.
Well, in the same way that our friend lost his contact And his contact search led him to a big piece of something that he's been wondering about. So everything that happens, even when it happens in a way that you don't think you want, it is leading to something more. And there are two things that we want to say to you. Slow down in the action part. Just slow down in the action part. Let the impulse to act build until you can't not act. That's really what we're saying. Until wild horses cannot keep you from the clarity that you've come to. And the most important thing is realizing that through the contrast is coming the clarity. And when the clarity is profound, then act. But don't act to accomplish the clarity. Clarity and then action. Alignment and then action.
Okay. But there's also the responsibility part, or I'm wondering, like, should I be always respecting myself? Like, sometimes, like, in that contract situation, I felt that that person wasn't respecting the agreement, but I didn't feel like arguing. Like, I just felt like, oh, I don't want to go there.
But that speaks precisely to what we are talking about jumping into the action agreement part of it before the vibration had taken care of it. Because this is always true. If you have taken care of it vibrationally, there's a vibrational agreement that would keep anything like that from happening. But if you're trying to orchestrate the agreement on paper and you're not considering alignment, then there's not a piece of paper strong enough to hold people to the intentions that you think that they had established.
I got it.
You got to let the attorney stuff be worked out in the vortex. Because if you work it out after the fact, it doesn't go so well. Next, we want to say to you that nothing has gone wrong and that it is a natural unfolding, and in every day of your life experience. So this is the way it works. Contrast causes you to put stuff in the vortex, but you're not up to speed with that because it's a contrast that gave birth to it. So now you think about that and you come into alignment with that, and that feels more natural and more normal. And so now you're standing over here and you're in the receptive mode. And now, because you're in the receptive mode, now the manifestation occurs because in your reception you've turned those thoughts to things. Boom. So here you stand in this new manifestation with a whole new set of contrasting experiences, which cause you to give birth to another rocket of desire, which at first you're not up to speed with because you're over here knowing what you don't want, but you contemplate it and you look at it and you become a vibrational match to it, and now you're moving and moving and moving, and now you're inside that vortex, you're in the receiving mode, and because you're in the receiving mode, now it's unfolding, you're realizing it, your thoughts are turning to things, boom, now you have another manifestation, and a whole new set of contrasting experiences, which are causing you to put more, and on and on and on and on and on it goes. There's no wrongdoing. There's nothing that you're doing wrong. How do you know that you moved too fast until you've experienced yourself moving too fast? How do you know that you weren't in perfect alignment until it turns out not so good? How do you know? And have you lost anything? No. Have you gained something? Knowledge and understanding of how the universe works and how you work with it. The most important thing. So think about being a wire walker, and you're going to walk on a wire at great height across something. And it's really all on you and your balance. There are no wires that are more special than others. Wire walker doesn't fall and then complain that the wire was twisted funny. Finding your balance is all that is required in that. Finding your balance. And don't walk across high places until you know you've found your balance. But there's no high place that you walked across. There was no risk. There was no danger. In the beginning, you're walking across that wire and it's only a foot off the floor, and you're not very good at finding your balance, but you get better and better and better and better at finding your balance. And so what happens is sometimes deliberate creators like you want to raise the stakes higher and higher because you think it will make you focus better. It doesn't. You don't focus better at higher risk. So that's why we're saying, don't be so eager to jump into action. Let life help you find that clarity. And when you find that clarity, it's the clarity that you want, not the project. It's the clarity you want, not the agreements. It's the clarity you want. Because when you've got clarity, then you know what to do next and next and next and next and next and next. Is that helpful to you?
It is indeed. And I just want to share like a clarity moment that I received while I was meditating. I could hear, love yourself as much as we love you. And that was so pure.
Yeah.
I could feel the love.
Yeah.
And then I heard that love would bring me like in a constant joy state. And that joy state brings me into the freedom of being really who I am. And then I could see myself dancing, and it was dance, a bounce, dance, a bounce, dance, a bounce. And I heard abundance. So it's like if I felt and I had clarity about abundance, and I wanted to share that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. And interesting the way you were led to that. Isn't it interesting
It is.
the way the universe and your inner being, everyone's standing on our heads in order to help you find the clarity that is within you. Really good conversation. This is a good time for a segment of refreshment.
Yeah, I love how she starts out here. You know, the idea comes and you feel power, you feel invigorated. If you jump too fast, you feel resistance, you know, so back away. You know, if it comes again, then move. Let the project unfold the way the idea did. I loved that piece. It's like the idea about something is just, fueled with excitement. So then you integrate that, you take that on. Okay, let the next steps wait until that same excitement is there again. This is back to learning to read the subtle energies and vibrations about the natural flow of the way something is meant to unfold. And wait until you feel that inspiration again. I'm not going to do anything that isn't inspired. What a wonderful mantra. What a wonderful thing to take on as you decide in a world where there's so many things coming at us to vie for our attention and what direction we could go on any given day. I know for me, sometimes there's so many different people that want to interact or spend time or connect, and so many different events and projects and things. It can be overwhelming. What a great way to learn how to navigate. I'm only going to do the thing that feels really inspired. You know, she said the idea is not to jump in to take action as quick as possible. Man, that took a long time for me to get that one. Just allowing inspired action to unfold. How ripe is it before I pluck it? I loved how she said that. Let it mature. Let things mature. Let the idea be, let the idea be until each idea that comes feels as good as the original. And the subtlety of this is, asking yourself, am I making things happen or letting things happen? And, when they're flowing smoothly, you may be taking some sort of action, but it's smooth and relatively effortless. It's just like, wow, you've been in the flow with something before, and it's just like, whoa, this is like, I'm doing this great thing, this powerful thing with grace and ease. And that's really what we're seeking with all of our action. I love how she said, scarcity, if I've got to make this happen because I'm in need. When you're approaching something, if you've got that energy, you're out of alignment with getting the result. The result will be a reflection of that, right? That scarcity versus the abundance of it will unfold as it should. And, she went on to say, as far as slowing down, let the impulse to act build until you cannot not act. You're just, the clarity is profound, then act. I love how she gave the formula. It's like you experience the contrast, which tells you what you want next, which leads to a rocket of desire. Oh, I'm seeing this thing I do or don't want. Okay, now there's a rocket of desire. Here's what I want to, how that makes me feel and what I want to do next. Then you're in receptive mode. That's the part we always try and skip over, right? That's what a lot of this conversation is about. Don't skip over the receptive mode. Then that equals a manifestation. And you just kind of repeat that. You're always going to have a new contrast. You're always going to have a new rocket of desire based off what appears next. And the analogy of, us looking to find our balance before we walk across the wire. Don't raise the stakes. Don't try and walk between the two buildings on a high wire until you've done a lot of practice first, right? Let it mature, right? Get good at what you're doing before you take action. Get your vibration right. Be prepared. then take action. So yeah, at the very end, did you hear where she talked about dancing in abundance? I loved that. I'm like, what? I'm actually going to mention abundance today. So cool little synchronicity, nod from the universe, wink from the universe. And that's all I got for you today. I hope it helps to clarify this very important distinction that we're looking to make here. I hope it was well received. I know it's been good for me. Hope it was good for you. I have a track to leave you with. This is actually one of the artists that will be playing at Abundance this Friday night, Dim Saints. The song is called C and SEE. And I like it. Hope you do too. Till next time, journey well. Love you all so much. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is my personal go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear me constantly say, it's a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration. And if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place I know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.